So I was doing this drop. By the time I unraveled and dropped my ankles, my head hit the ground. I broke my wrist. I was literally hanging by my ankles, unconscious. Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you are returning, that makes me so happy. I'm glad that you came back. Let's make it a good one, shall we? The other day, I was talking to my sister. I was actually at practice. I was working on a routine. It can be frustrating. I know a whole bunch of skills and a whole bunch of tricks, but piecing it together to go with timing, finding the right music, doing combos that flow together. I was just a little bit frustrated. So I took a moment, I opened my notebook, and I was like going to write some notes. And my sister, I love her. She's amazing. She painted me a picture. I'm going to show you because I love it. I opened my book and her picture was right there waiting for me. I love it. It just flung open and there it was waiting for me. And so I was talking to her and she had brought up a note that I wrote to her that she still has. And I wrote her this note when I was like, I don't know how old I was. Like 5 or 6 years old. She was mad at me and I just wrote her a little note that said like, I love you, thank you, you're such an amazing sister, and I slid it under the door. And as she was talking about it, I remembered writing the note, sliding it under the door. Like I remembered that it was on Hello Kitty paper, on a Hello Kitty notepad. She also hung it up on her mirror for a long time. And I like visually just like saw all of that like flashback. And it was so crazy because I told her, I was like, wow, I remember that. Like it was on Hello Kitty paper and we were just going over details. And she said to me, you have such an amazing memory. And it brought back another time when I was 15 years old. I was practicing a routine and I was learning some new drops on the silks. My wonderful stepdad built me a rig in my backyard at my mom's house. It's like 23 or 24 feet high. So I was doing this drop. And in the drop, you spin down twice and then it catches you by your ankles. So you're upside down. I want to preface this by saying I did the drop correctly. My wrapping was a little bit off, which means there was a little bit of slack. By the time I unraveled and dropped my ankles, I was too close to the ground and my head hit the ground. I broke my wrist. I was literally hanging by my ankles, unconscious. Grateful for my other sister and my friend that were there with me at the time because I probably would have been hangman if they weren't there. So that was crazy. After that incident, that was a major concussion to the head that I had, like 22 feet onto my head. Pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I don't remember 2 to 3 months following that. I have like no recollection. I remember sleeping on the couch a lot because I couldn't watch TV. But like, I think it was great because breaking my wrist at the same time of the concussion, I don't remember any of the pain from breaking my wrist. So, not the point. That happened in like middle school. And when I got into high school, I would always kind of use it as an excuse and be like, oh, like I got a concussion, my memory is really bad. I don't have a great memory because I literally fell on my head. So later down the road, I went to a not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I went to a brain doctor. They were gonna do like a brain test, not like a brain scan. I wish they did that. I would love to see that, how my brain actually functions. What they did was, it was like an actual test. Testing my memory, testing my reflex time, just like testing the functions of my brain. I was so prepared to have the results come back that like I didn't have a good memory and like my brain was messed up. And when the results came back saying that my brain is functioning better than average, wow. I had a huge realization after that I just had this false belief that my brain didn't work or that my memory was bad because of what happened, and it was just a belief that I was feeding myself. So the moral of this story is that your words have so much power. I would physically tell people like, oh, my memory is so bad, which is like a valid excuse, but that's all it was an excuse. After that test, at the time I would listen to Rob Dial a lot, just like a lot of podcasts, a lot of self-help books, Just like a bunch of like self-improvement things. There were so many times that I heard, just speak positively about yourself. Even if it feels uncomfortable and you don't believe it yet, you have to say it and repeat it and repeat it. And repetition, it's like getting stronger. Like your beliefs about yourself is like a muscle that you train. You repeat those positive affirmations and they will get stronger, and then you'll start to believe them truly. It does no good to sit there and affirm negative beliefs to yourself, which I have been there. I have been so hard on myself, said not nice things to myself or about myself. I am so grateful for where I am because I am much nicer to myself. Your words have so much power, so just be aware of what you're saying. Some of my friends have even called me the word police. Here's some examples. Should, can't, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I used that one a lot. I really don't like that it's like a trend. You know, when people are like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Oh my gosh, I'm dead. I'm like, don't say that. Like, if it's funny, just be like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. Like, don't say, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Because you're not dead. First of all, we're all going to die eventually. But that's not the point. Be like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm full of life. Because that was so funny. Stuff like that I'm such a stickler about. When people are like, oh, I should do this, I should do this, I'm like, don't should yourself. Because then you're just like creating an expectation that who's setting that expectation? Like, who said you should be doing that? And who knows if you actually should be? Like, you can. You don't have to. No one's forcing you. If you're like, oh, I should go to the gym, think about that and be like, you know, oh, I want to go to the gym so that I can start being nicer to my body. Even if like internally you're like, I don't want to go to the gym. Just tell yourself, be like, oh my gosh, I want to go to the gym because I know it'll be good for me. Just making that like little switch, it really does wonders. After that brain test, I started to catch myself. And I think that's the first step, is when you realize what you're saying. When I would be like, oh my gosh, my memory is so bad, I'd be like, oh, like, actually, my memory is really good. My memory is so good, and I would just, like, reinforce and reinforce, even if it's sarcastically. If you're saying it, your brain doesn't know if you mean it or not, but it's reaffirming to yourself. So I would be like, oh my gosh, my memory is so good. Even if I, like, messed something up and forgot something. And now, to this day, so many people will tell me that I have such an amazing memory. And I'm like, that's so crazy, because I used to think the complete opposite. It's really all about your words. Your words hold so much power. Even in the Bible, Proverbs 18:21. See, my memory is so good. It says the power of the tongue holds life and death. So you can speak positively or you can speak negatively. You have a choice. And if you find yourself speaking negatively a lot, all you have to do is just gain some awareness and then replace it with something positive. And then eventually, after repetition and repetition, it'll become natural. I'm just so positive with my words. And I love it. I love to be this way. I am also not perfect with this. Many times my internal thoughts to myself are not as nice as how I speak to others. And I'm working on that. I feel like I've gained a lot of awareness with it. Like when I'm being judgmental to myself or rude to myself, I'll be like, hey, like that wasn't nice. And I'll kind of talk to myself as if I was talking to somebody else. It's been very nice to be kind to myself. I think it's really hot in here. I turned my car off so that there wouldn't be any extra noise because I wanted this to be good. And I think it was a good one. So my challenge for you is to start being aware of the words that you're speaking, subconsciously and consciously. I think it makes a difference in the power that the words hold, and it's not doing any harm. It's only doing good. To speak nicer to yourself and pass it along. If you hear somebody else talking negatively about themselves, help them switch the narrative into positive. Just spread the love. I hope you enjoyed this story time. I hope you got something good out of it. If you liked the message, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear more fun stories, fun messages about mental health and being kinder to yourself, go ahead and press that subscribe button. And I'll see you next week. Stay blessed.